Tennessee is in a really interesting spot here under Josh Heupel because 2025, there is a lot I think that you are expectant for, but at the same time asking questions about when you look at your roster. But then you look to the future under Josh Heupel, and I've said this, I believe a ton in where Tennessee football is headed for a number of reasons that we'll unpack here as this segment progresses. But before we do that, one, make sure you're subscribed. Two, glad to let y'all know that this show, The Hard Count, is brought to you by our friends over at Heupel. Now, if you've watched this show, you know we've talked about Heupel a lot. They do the Lord's work. A lot of y'all live busy lives. We understand it. You're taking the kids to practice. Maybe you're in school and you got a lot going on studying. You can't always stop and make yourself a full 3-course meal. Heupel's got you. Okay, Heupel has got a phenomenal handle on what you need. They put it all inside a bottle. So, again, Hard Count brought to you by Heupel. With over 500 million meals sold, you can find Heupel in GNC, Amazon, or directly at Heupel.com. For new customers, Hard Count 15, shopping at Heupel.com. You can try it for 15% off plus a free gift using that code. Again, the Black Edition, ready to drink, 27 vitamins, minerals, low in sugar, and all that you need in a handy bottle. So again, 15% off plus a free gift for new customers using our code HARDCOUNT15 at Heupel.com. That's HUEL.com. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters. Lock in with the good folks at Heupel. Good stuff over there from them, man. But like I was saying, in 2025, Tennessee's over-under win total for the preseason is set at 9.5. 9.5, if you hit the over on that, history should tell us that you're probably going to make the college football playoff like Tennessee did a season ago going 10-2. The schedule, if you remember now, the way the SEC did things, they said, okay, you played on the road last year, you play that same team at home and vice versa. So the same teams you're playing from a year ago. No Texas, no Ole Miss, no Texas A&M. You go to Bama, but who knows what Bama has at quarterback this upcoming season. Georgia, you get them at home, and they will also have a new quarterback. So there's a lot here for Tennessee from a gauntlet perspective to be excited about. Then you pair with that, you bring back your quarterback, which is somewhat of a rarity, it feels like, in the Southeastern Conference for schools that are competing for the title in the conference as well as nationally. You bring back 67% of your defense from a year ago. Now, yes, you lose James Pierce, but you also bring back your DC. Like there's a lot here on paper to be excited about, but the game's not played on paper. It's played on grass, which is where I want us to move to next. If Tennessee does repeat their success from a year ago and they make the college football playoff, I think it'll be because Nico Iamaleava took a massive step forward. And we said it a lot during the course of last season. Hey, Nico, he's good. Can he be great? If he's great, Tennessee could win the whole darn thing. And so it's not just on Nico. It's also on the skill players. It's also on the offensive line. But I think with how we talked about Nico when he got to Tennessee, we shouldn't just excuse the expectations we had for him. Now, I understand that that's a lot to put on a guy, and to some degree that bar is unreachable. But what I'm trying to say here is, as good as Nico was a season ago, and as much as there is maybe some things lacking around him, you're still expecting the quarterback to make the difference. You're still expecting the quarterback to make up for whatever you don't have at the wide receiver position. You're still expecting the quarterback to make some plays off script when your offensive line doesn't have it totally dialed in. Now, that's not me trying to dunk on the rest of the Tennessee roster. I'm just saying, in his second year as a starter, third year in the system, I'm expecting a little bit more from Nico Iamaleava. What I also want to make sure we note, though, the tough part with Nico is we're grading him against his potential. I want to just make sure we say this. Nico's a good quarterback. He's a guy that his first year starting in the SEC got Tennessee to the college football playoff. Say what you want about the run game and how that impacted him. Say what you want about the defense, how that helped him. Definitely helped him, but overall, man, he got this team to the college football playoff. That shouldn't just be overlooked. I also think that when you talk about how the dude is just wired, the way that he laid it all out there against Ohio State told me a lot about what this dude is under the hood. And physically, nobody's questioning what he is. Will the game slow down for him in 2025 and they'll get some things dialed in for him to hopefully make that picture easier for him? You would hope. But it's not a matter of competitive juice, which sounds cliche, but it matters, especially at the quarterback position, especially if you're going to go try and win the SEC and compete for a national championship. He gets the helmet cracked in the first half against Ohio State. Didn't look phased at all. He carried the football 20 times in that game, some of it out of necessity for Tennessee. That told me a lot about what he is as a competitor. And I don't want to overestimate what that means for a football team, but Tell you what, you can't win national titles without it. Can't win the SEC without it. So 2025, if Nico doesn't perform at the level we need him to perform at, it's not going to be a thing where I don't think the defense is able to compensate for the learning curve that he maybe is still progressing through, or the running game is able to look as good as it did a season ago. Not saying those are going to be bad, but again, my point is your future now in 2025 sits with Nico. And when you talk about Nico, it's going to take more than what we saw from him last year. It's going to take some things that we haven't seen him do just yet, which is a big reason why I'm very much so wait and see around Tennessee in 2025. Wait and see. Not out, definitely not in, but I'm very much so wait and see on the Vols here as we move into next season. But it's funny to talk about next season and have so much uncertainty and have all this almost like fence riding when we talk about the Vols right now. Y'all, I trust the future under Josh Heupel. I get really excited about the future in Knoxville because there's so much there that is in place that other schools would kill to have in place. The resources commitment from Tennessee is huge. They're going to be able to win when it comes to acquiring talent. You got one of the best head coaches in the sport. Dude's got two 10-win seasons in the regular season over the last 3 years. Made the playoff last year. He attracts top quarterbacks. Whether it's Nico, whether it's George McIntyre in the future, they're going to be in good shape at the quarterback position because of the system and because of what Josh Heupel is as a quarterback whisperer, and the Hendon Hooker season doesn't hurt too much either. So they have all those things that make them good. But if you want to go from good to great, which that logo demands, I would have to imagine, in Knoxville, the next phase of this is acquiring trench talent on the offensive and defensive line that is going to put you on a different playing field, where the Ohio States are at, where the Georgias have been, where Alabama's been. That's the next step for Tennessee. And the good news is that phase is currently under construction. This last cycle, they just had their best recruiting class under Josh Heupel, and their top 2 commits were on the offensive and defensive line. 5-star cats. So you're seeing the progress. Also, you saw it on the field a season ago. James Pierce, before the year, I'm not really a draft savant necessarily, but they're talking about James Pierce being a top 15 pick at that point in time. Like, there is real proof of concept on the field, and there's real proof of concept here on the recruiting trail that should get you excited about Tennessee. So if you have the trenches plus all those things I just mentioned beforehand, quarterback, resources, head coach, if we get to a year for Tennessee where we're just talking about making some portal ads, at that point we're just tweaking the thing a little bit, right? We're not having to do this big overhaul and do we have the roster to compete. If we're just talking about a player here, a player there, a couple wide receivers, a couple DBs, linebacker, like if we're just talking about making small tweaks, Tennessee's in a really, really good spot. Because that's the world of college football. Everyone's trying to make little additions to get, that 5% better that's going to get them over the hump. Everyone's living in that world. But if that's the world that Tennessee's living in, I think that will be the world they live in here long term under Josh Heupel. That's an exciting spot because at that point in time, you can have all the expectations you want to have because you have everything you need. Like, that to me is the new world of college football. If you have the proper ingredients on your roster, if you have the proper head coach in the building, you have the proper resources, there's no reason you can't win. Long gone are the days where it's about, well, we got to have the right schedule shake out to where we get to play in the BCS title game. It's not about that. It's have what you need, get in the dance, get hot, go win a national title. And I don't think that's irresponsible to ask for under Josh Heupel as long as he's in Knoxville. So we have questions around 2025. It's all about Nico this upcoming season. But in the future now, I would buy a ton of stock in what they're building out there under Josh Heupel. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Make sure you are subscribed. We will keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.